I never thought I'd be the guy telling his story on about betrayal, but here I am. It's raw, it's painful, and honestly, I'm still trying to piece everything together myself. It all started on what was supposed to be our special weekend. My wife, Sarah, and I had been planning our anniversary trip for months, just the two of us, a little getaway to celebrate 5 years of pretending everything was fine. The first couple of days felt perfect, or at least I thought they did. We laughed, drank wine, shared stories by the fire. I didn't suspect a thing. Then came the night I found her sneaking my phone. She was in the bathroom and I was bored, so I picked up my phone to check some messages. That's when I saw the texts. Not just innocent, miss you kind of stuff, but intimate, close, private messages with someone I'd never heard of. Tom. Tom, my best friend's name. The guy I'd trusted for 15 years. The dude I'd played football with, had beers with, confided in about everything. And right there in the glow of my phone screen, I saw the evidence of their affair. It was a string of messages, photos too. She sent him a selfie, some photos of her in bed, almost like they were planning something. I felt like I was punched in the gut. My stomach twisted and my palms turned cold. I didn't even get the chance to think. I pushed the door open just as she was emerging, her face flushing, eyes wide with panic. "What are you doing?" she stammered, clutching her shirt like she was already trying to hide something. "I was just checking my messages," I said, voice hoarse. I held up the phone. "Explain this. Who is Tom?" Her face went pale. She looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. "It's nothing," she muttered. "Just a mistake. It's nothing serious." "Nothing serious? That's a lie," I snapped. "This is cheating. While we're supposed to be celebrating us, you're betting my best friend. How long has this been going on?" She bit her lip, tears pooling in her eyes. "It's been a few months. I didn't mean for it to go this far, I swear." Her voice cracked. I couldn't believe how quickly everything I thought I knew about her was crumbling. The shock was like a heavy weight pressing down on my chest. I felt cold all over, like I'd been frozen in place. My mind raced. How could she do this? With Tom, my best friend, I'd always trusted him. I'd never even suspected he was capable of something like this. That night I sat on the balcony, staring at the dark sky. Every star seemed like a lie. I felt sick, betrayed, and furious all at once. The worst part, I knew she'd been lying for months. She'd hidden this from me, probably even from herself, while she was planning her wedding with him. I couldn't sleep that night. My mind kept circling back to the same questions. How long has this been going on? How many lies? Did she ever love me? Or was I just convenient? And now I was stuck with this gnawing sense that everything I knew about my life was a lie. The morning after, I confronted her again before she could leave the hotel. "Who else knows about this?" I demanded, voice trembling. She looked down, silent. That was enough. I knew she'd been lying the entire time, covering her tracks. Probably talking with Tom behind my back. I felt the anger boiling in my chest. This wasn't going to end with just tears and apologies. I had to think about what I wanted, what I needed to make this right for myself. The shock was still raw in my chest, but beneath it, a dark resolve was forming. If she thought she could lie and cheat her way out of this, she was dead wrong. I had a plan, something that would hit her where it hurt, make her regret every moment she'd betrayed me. I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it yet, but I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just walk away from this without consequences. And so, with the sun cresting the horizon that morning, I started plotting. She'd taken my trust, my friendship, my sense of stability, and I was going to make her pay one way or another. The game was on, and I wasn't planning on losing. That night, after I got back home, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying what I'd seen, what I'd felt, the look in her eyes when she was caught. The betrayal wasn't just about the affair. It was about the lie, how she'd been lying to me for months, sneaking around, hiding her communications, planning her wedding with Tom behind my back. The thought of her wedding, her lying, cheating, sneaking, made my stomach churn. I needed a plan, something to show her I wasn't just going to let this slide. First step was gathering evidence. I knew I needed proof she couldn't deny, something real, undeniable. I started with her phone, digging through her messages, photos, and social media. I found more signs of her deception, more messages, pictures she deleted, but I managed to recover with some apps I found. I was meticulous, patient. Every text, every photo, every little lie she'd told so far was being collected. I felt my palms get sweaty just thinking about how much I was uncovering, about how far she'd gone. While I was at it, I noticed her laptop sitting open on the kitchen table. I didn't want to invade her privacy, but I needed to know exactly how much she'd lied. I found hidden folders labeled with code names: wedding plans, Tom's photos, secret. She'd gone to such lengths. I scrolled through files of plans, dates, even a folder with save the date cards. My blood boiled. She'd been planning this right under my nose. I couldn't just confront her blindly. I had to be strategic. I decided I'd record her in a moment when she thought she was alone. I bought a small voice recorder, tucked it in my pocket, and waited. She was home the next afternoon, acting normal at first, but I could tell she was hiding something. She kept glancing at her phone, typing and deleting messages. I kept my distance, waiting for her to slip up. When she did, when she finally sat down on the couch and started talking to herself, probably making arrangements, I pressed record. Her tone was casual but calculating. Tom's going to be so surprised when I tell him I've got everything ready. Our wedding will be perfect, just like I planned. No one will suspect a thing, she whispered. That was all I needed. This wasn't just an affair, this was her actively scheming. The lies she'd told, the secrets she'd kept, it was all laid bare now. My stomach twisted again, but I kept calm. I knew I had enough evidence, enough to expose her, to make her realize she'd gone too far. I spent the next few hours compiling the recordings, screenshots, and files into a folder, call it my insurance. I knew this wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about making her own lies come crashing down on her. Later that evening, I sat her down in the living room. She looked nervous now, probably sensing I'd found out more. I forced a calm voice, but behind it I was seething. "Can you explain all this?" I asked, sliding the folder across the table. She hesitated, then her face paled. I was going to tell you," she mumbled. "It's not what you think. I didn't mean for this to get out of control." "Oh, I think I understand," I said coldly. "You've been lying to me, sneaking around, planning your wedding with Tom. How long has this been going on? Since when?" She looked down at the floor, tears in her eyes. "Since about 6 months ago. I didn't want to hurt you, but I was scared. I didn't know how to tell you." I clenched my fists, feeling the rage bubble up. "You lied for 6 months. You were planning your wedding with him, while I was out here thinking everything was fine." She started crying, tears streaming down her face. "I never loved Tom. I was confused. I didn't know what I wanted." "That's bullshit," I snapped. "You knew exactly what you were doing. You betrayed me, and you betrayed our relationship. I spent all these years trusting you, and you were just using that trust to hide your lies." Her sobs grew louder. She begged, pleaded, but I'd heard enough. I knew I had to act soon, to do something that would make her regret what she'd done. I had all the evidence now, and I was ready to set my plan into motion. But first, I wanted her to know I wasn't just going to walk away quietly. "I hope you're happy with yourself," I told her. "Because it's over. No more pretending. No more lies. If you think you're getting away with this, you're dead wrong." I stood up, feeling the weight of my decision settle deep in my chest. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming what was mine, about ending the lies once and for all. I looked her straight in the eyes and made a vow. It was time to show her that betrayal had consequences. The game was just beginning. The following days were a blur. I kept busy, but every moment away from her was filled with planning, plotting exactly how I was going to turn this all around. I had the evidence, the recordings, the photos. It was all sitting there, waiting for me. I knew I couldn't just confront her again, not yet. I needed to be surgical, precise. I needed her to see that I was serious, that this wasn't just a petty revenge, but a thorough destruction of her carefully constructed lies. I started by calling Tom my so-called best friend. I kept the conversation casual at first, but I made sure to steer it toward their plans. "So I saw the stuff on your phone," I said, voice calm but icy. "You and Sarah have been busy, huh?" There was a pause on the other end. "Look, man, I didn't mean for it to go this far. I really care about her." "Care about her?" I repeated, voice rising just a little. "You're planning a wedding with her and you're telling me you care, while you're sleeping with my wife." He stammered, trying to deny it, but I'd already got irrefutable proof. I told him I knew everything about the messages, the plans, the secret folders. His silence said it all. I knew then I had the leverage needed to shake him up. Next, I arranged a meetup, a friendly chat, but I wasn't planning on being friendly. I wanted him to feel what real betrayal was. I drove to his place that evening, my stomach clenched tight with anticipation. When he opened the door, I stepped inside, voice firm. "We need to talk about Sarah, about everything." He looked nervous, shifting uncomfortably. "Listen, I didn't want you to find out like this." "Oh, you didn't want me to find out?" I leaned in close. "You've been lying to me for months, planning your wedding with her while I was in the dark. That's betrayal, Tom. And I don't forget shit like that." He looked away, but I pressed on. "I have everything, all the texts, the plans, the recordings you want me to play it back for you." His eyes widened and he realized I wasn't bluffing. "Look, I didn't mean for it to get this messy. I still care about her, I swear." "Care?" I spat. "You care so much you're marrying her. Is that why you've been sneaking around? It's disgusting." That night I left him with a clear message. I was done being the fool. I'd taken enough. Now it was time to make her see that her lies had consequences and I'd be the one to deliver them. The night I returned home, I knew I had to act fast. I had the evidence, I had the plan, and I had to execute it before she could do any more damage. I sat her down again, this time with a different tone. "We need to talk seriously." She looked nervous again, almost resigned. "Please, just listen." I pulled out my phone and I played the recordings. Her voice, her words, her plans, all of it laid bare. Her face went pale. Her eyes welled with tears, but I felt nothing but cold satisfaction. "You planned all this," I said quietly, "while I was out there believing in us, while I was building a life with you." She tried to protest, but I cut her off. "It's over. I want you to pack your things and get out. You betrayed me, and I'm done pretending that I don't see who you really are." That night she left, her tears and protests echoing behind her. I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. I'd finally taken control, but it came with a price. My trust was shattered, my heart bruised. Now I was left standing in the wreckage of what I thought was a life. The betrayal was out in the open, and I knew the next step was to cut all ties. I was done with her lies, her plans, her wedding with Tom. I had everything I needed to make it final, and from that moment I decided I wouldn't let her get away with it, not without a fight. The fallout was immediate and brutal. After she left, I sat alone in the quiet house I once thought was our safe haven. The silence was deafening. My mind was racing, trying to process what had just happened, trying to understand how everything had fallen apart so fast. I knew I had to act quickly before she could spin any more lies or cover her tracks further. First thing I did was file for a legal separation. I wanted her to realize I was serious about ending this whole charade. It wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming my life. I gathered all the evidence I had, her texts, the recordings, the plans on her laptop. I printed everything out, organized it into a neat, airtight file. It was my insurance, my ammunition. While I was at it, I started making arrangements for a clean break. I contacted a lawyer and explained everything. "She's been planning her wedding with Tom while lying to me for months," I told him. "I want full custody of the house and I want her out as soon as possible." The lawyer nodded, calm and professional. "We can file for a quick divorce and include the evidence of her infidelity. It'll make things easier for you." That night I stayed up late, carefully drafting a letter I planned to send to her. It was straightforward, no emotional outbursts, just the facts laid out cold. I handed her the letter when she returned after she'd packed her bags and finally showed up at the house. "I want you to read this," I said, voice even. "Everything I've found, everything I know, you're not going to pretend anymore." She looked at me with wide, tear-streaked eyes. "Please don't do this, we can fix it." "No," I said sharply. "You lied, you betrayed me, and now you're going to face the consequences." She broke down, crying harder than I'd ever seen. I felt nothing but a strange emptiness. The woman I'd loved, the wife I'd trusted, she was gone, replaced by someone else entirely. Her sobs echoed through the empty house, and I knew I'd done the right thing. It was time to finally cut the cord. The next morning, I handed over the divorce papers to her. I watched her sign, her trembling hand barely able to hold the pen. When it was done, I knew it was over, completely, finally. I signed my own papers, feeling a strange sense of relief, mixed with a lingering ache of betrayal. I packed up what was left of my things and moved out. Not just out of the house, but out of the life I'd imagined with her. I left her with the keys and a final note. I hope the future you're planning with Tom is everything you want. As for me, I'm done. I handed over the keys, turned my back on that chapter, and walked away. In the days that followed, I felt a strange calm settle over me. The chaos had subsided, but the weight of everything still pressed on my chest. I'd lost someone I thought was mine, but I gained clarity, finally seeing her for who she really was. I'd been betrayed, yes, but I'd also taken control of the narrative. Looking back, I realize I was lucky. I caught her early, collected enough evidence, and didn't get consumed by revenge. I simply removed myself from the wreckage, making sure she understood every betrayal had a price. Moving forward, I know I'll never let anyone lie to me like that again. Trust is precious, and I refuse to give it so easily now. The lesson I learned from all this: never ignore the red flags no matter how much you want things to be perfect, because sometimes the biggest betrayals come from those closest to you, and the only way to truly move on is to cut the ties that bind you to the pain. After I handed over the keys and signed my divorce papers, I expected some relief, like the storm had passed and I could finally breathe again. But truthfully, it took a while for the dust to settle, and even longer for me to process everything I'd been through. I thought I'd feel liberated, but instead, I just felt hollow. The betrayal ran deep, and part of me kept replaying the last few months like a bad movie I couldn't turn off. A few weeks went by, and I started to piece myself back together. I took time off work, went for long walks, and tried to get some sleep. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd been living a lie. Every little sound in the house felt like a reminder of her, and every time I saw her face in my mind, I felt that familiar punch in the gut. One day, I decided I needed closure more than anything. I wanted to face her one last time, not to rekindle anything but to put an end to it entirely. So I arranged to meet her at a coffee shop, a neutral place where I could speak my truth without any emotional distractions. When she arrived, she looked exhausted, her eyes red, her face pale. She avoided eye contact and sat across from me in silence for a few long moments. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything I'd kept inside. "You lied to me," I started, voice steady but cold. "You betrayed every ounce of trust I ever gave you. And honestly, I don't know how you live with yourself." She looked down, tears threatening to spill over again. "I never wanted to hurt you. I thought I was doing what I needed to do. I was confused, and I thought I could fix it." "That's bullshit," I snapped. "You lied to me for months. You planned your wedding with Tom while I trusted you. And worst of all, you lied about loving me. You played me for a fool." She looked up, her voice trembling. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I never wanted to break us apart. I just did know how to tell you I was unhappy." "Unhappy," I echoed, voice rising slightly. "You didn't tell me because you were busy sneaking around lying. You were planning to leave me, but instead of talking to me, you chose to cheat and lie. I don't want to hear your excuses." She burst into tears, her hands trembling. "Please, I'm sorry. I never thought it would come to this. I loved you, I still do." I shook my head, feeling a mixture of anger and pity. Love doesn't do this. Love doesn't cheat, lie, and betray. I hope you find what you're looking for with Tom. As for me, I'm done. Done with your lies, your games, your betrayal. I'll never trust you again." She looked devastated, but I knew I had to say it, had to make her understand that this was final. I walked away from that meeting with a heavy heart but a clear mind. I'd done what I needed to do, no more apologies, no more second chances. That night, I sat in my apartment, alone but finally free. I turned off my phone, uninstalled the apps that still held her digital shadow, and stared out at the city lights. It was strange feeling this emptiness, but also this strange sense of relief. The chaos was over, I was finally moving on. In a way, I realized that I'd been holding on to hope that things would somehow get better. But the truth is, sometimes letting go is the only way to heal. And I'm choosing that now. No more lies, no more betrayal, just me, figuring out how to rebuild from the wreckage she left behind. The most important thing I learned: never accept betrayal as just a part of life. Stand up, confront it, and walk away from what doesn't serve you. Your peace is worth more than sticking around for someone who cheats and lies. That's what I tell myself every day now. to keep moving forward no matter how hard it is. The months after the final confrontation were a strange mix of relief and reflection. I threw myself into rebuilding my life, focusing on work, friends, and the things that actually mattered. It wasn't easy trusting again, opening up, letting go of the bitterness. But I recognized something crucial. I was better off without her poison. Every day I made a point to remind myself that I deserved honesty, loyalty, and respect. Honestly, I'd been blind for too long, but finally seeing her for who she truly was a kind of liberation. Living through her betrayal taught me a lot. I learned that red flags are real, and ignoring them only prolongs the pain. I kept thinking about all the signs I missed, the times I brushed off my gut feeling because I just wanted things to be perfect. Now, I know better. Sometimes the biggest betrayal isn't just about cheating, it's about the lies that come with it. Those lies, once exposed, are like a poison that slowly kills trust. And trust, once gone, is almost impossible to get back. I also realized that revenge doesn't necessarily mean destruction. For me, it was about reclaiming my dignity, about showing her that I was capable of standing up and walking away, no matter how much it hurt. That was my true victory. I didn't need to ruin her life. I just needed to end ours clean and clear, with no crumbs of hope left for her to pick at. Looking back, I don't harbor hatred anymore. I don't want her to think I've been defeated. Instead, I see it as a lesson, one that cost me a lot but also made me stronger. I learned to trust my instincts, to listen to that little voice that warns me when something's off. I learned that love isn't enough if it's not built on honesty and mutual respect. And I learned that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. Now I'm focused on myself. I'm rebuilding piece by piece. I've started dating again, cautiously but with more awareness. I've realized that the right person will respect my boundaries, will be honest, and won't take my trust for granted. And for anyone out there going through something similar, I'd say this: don't let betrayal define you. Use it as a stepping stone. Heal, learn, grow. One thing I keep telling myself is, I might be, but I'm not broken. I've learned to recognize red flags earlier, to value myself more, and to never settle for anything less than honesty. That's the real revenge, living a life rooted in truth and integrity, refusing to let someone else's lies hold me hostage. So here I am. I've handed over the keys, closed that chapter, and finally moved forward. The pain is still there sometimes, but it's less sharp now. It's part of my story, and I won't let it define my future. I've learned that the best revenge is simply to live well, to be honest with myself, and to trust again when I'm ready. Because at the end of the day, trust is something you give to someone deserving, not to someone who betrayed you. And I know now that I am deserving.